How's everybody doing? This is the MARKEY CHUKES show once again. I'm here with my co-host and cousin Travis Monfort. Today we have Police Chief Kevin Martin and Major Chip Protsman. Today, really, we just want to ask you a few questions because there is there's room for a better understanding in police public. First of all, do you think that there's a problem with the police public relationship, and is there room for improvement?
Well, in any community, not just Lima, but right. I think any community, there's always going to be room for improvement between the police and the community relationships. And as the police chief, one of my goals is to try to look for ways that we can better improve that relationship. Right. And I think one of the ways to do that is through communication, which is why I appreciate the opportunity that you gave us to be here today. Yeah, because again, this is another good communication medium for us to be able to take advantage of.
I also wanted to ask you, now, how long have you been in office?
I have only been the chief of police since April 15th, okay, so just barely over 3 months. I've been with the Lima Police Department, though, since April of 1986. Okay. I actually started out as a correction officer with the department, then I've worked my way up through the ranks as patrol officer, and then sergeant, lieutenant, major, and now chief. Okay.
Now, I guess I could call this your administration. So, in your administration, what are some of the things that you plan to do different than your predecessor? Like with a new president, you always want to do things better and different than the president before you. What are your plans to make things better or do things different that was done before by your predecessor, Mr. Greg Garlock?
I think probably, again, the number one thing is just to try to be able to communicate with people better. And not to say that there's anything wrong with the way that Chief Garlock did things. I think he was a very good man and worked very hard at serving the community well. But yes, anytime you have a change in leadership, you're going to have a change in focus, you're going to have a change in the way at least some things get done. And so again, my biggest goal is going to be to try to look for new avenues of communication, and also just to try to help continually get the message out there as to what the police department is doing to serve the public.
Okay. Travis, you have that question?
Just because a lot of times people look at police officers as an authoritative figure. People never get an opportunity to know the type of people you guys are, because you guys have families, you guys have children and things like that. So what are even just some of your hobbies? Just like you said, it's about communications, letting people know, like, hey, I'm a regular person. My job is not to be that bully out there on the streets. My job is to actually help people. But I do have a spare time. What do you guys like to do? What's sports teams, families? What do you guys have going on in your own personal lives?
Well, I do have a family. I have 3 smaller children, so they keep me busy most of the time. I like to golf a lot. I'm also a University of Michigan football fan, which gets me a lot of grief.
They don't want to hear that. Okay.
That's usually the reaction I get.
Thank you very much, Major. You can leave now. I don't think many of his viewers are going to like that. So, are you from Lima yourself as well?
I'm from Lima. That's correct. I'm born and raised in Lima. Yes.
What high school did you attend?
I went to Shawnee High School.
Okay. What about yourself? What do you like to do in your personal time? Are you from Lima? I know you said you've been here on the force since the '80s. So, tell us about your personal time.
Okay, well, first of all, I will just tell you I am a dyed-in-the-wool Buckeye fan, okay. And so, yeah, I'm trying not to hold the whole Michigan thing against him too much. But I was born and raised in Lima. I've lived in Lima my entire life, except for the 4 years that I spent serving in the Marine Corps. I graduated from Lima Senior High in 1981. I have a bachelor's degree in business administration from Mount Vernon Nazarene University. And as far as the things I do in my spare time, I do spend a lot of time with my family. I've got a wife and 2 daughters. Both my daughters are grown now. In fact, the oldest one's married, but we still spend a lot of time with them. We enjoy camping. I do enjoy hunting and fishing. And somebody mentioned about my walking to work. I do enjoy doing a lot of walking, including to and from work. which again is a good way to get out in the community and be seen and talk to people.
We had talked about it last night. I'm sorry, and we had thought maybe it was because of the gas prices. But I was like, that don't make sense because this is the chief of police. So, okay, but yeah, I thought that's very humbling to hear something like that. I'm sorry. Now, moving right along, I need to ask a question because it's been brought up in the media, and everybody needs a chance to explain what is. What is pinpoint policing?
Well, actually, I'm going to allow Major PROTSMAN to answer that,
That's
since
fine.
he actually was the member of our department that developed the whole concept of pinpoint policing.
Pinpoint policing was developed to better utilize what we have. We have crime mapping. So on our computers, we can look and see where crime's occurring the most in the cities. So we look at those areas and pinpoint those areas, and then we would send officers out to those areas with surveys. And they go out and they ask all the residents in those areas 3 questions. One is, what are the major problems in your areas? 2 is, who or what houses are causing these problems in your area? And 3 is, what is it that the police department can do to work with you to help solve these issues? So we take all those surveys and then we compile the data, and we pick the 3 top things that people are saying are the problems and talk to the officers about what they see in the what are the problems. And the biggest problem in all the areas we've had has been loud music. The #1 quality of life issue that people say bug them the most. So then we utilize our officers. We send them out into those areas. We split them up, and officers are dedicated to those areas, and then some are left over just to handle the calls in the other parts of the city. And then they start working with the residents and start coming up with different ideas of how to deal with those problems. Like the loud music problems, we have a lot of people, officers in plain cars or plain clothes are walking around, and they'll hear the loud music, and then they'll call it out to other officers who can make stops and issue citations. Okay. So, you know, if drug houses or whatnot that people have complaints about, then we'll send the officers out to look at this. So it's an effort from us to try to work closer with the community so they can tell us what they think the problems are and how we can better help them solve those problems.
So with this, it's not a thing where you're out just kind of picking on people. This is something where you're getting actual input from the community saying, hey, these are things we want you to look at. These are things that we're seeing. So is that correct in understanding?
That is absolutely correct, yes.
And I wanted to say this too. I have a friend that's a police officer in Atlanta, and he says that one thing that's really good where he's at is that the police officers are out walking about, kind of, you know, being more visible and, you know, shaking hands and meeting, you know, people, as opposed to a lot of times people will look at a police cruiser riding by and it's like, you're watching me, you're looking at me, you're not trying to, you know, interact with me and become part of the community. You're kind of spying on me, if you will. So, I mean, he said that that's something that really works well to get out there. You're talking to people, you're shaking hands, so they're looking at you more of as a friend to the community as opposed to the bad guy.
And that's one of the things of why the surveys were set up. Not only to find out what people think that the problems are, but also so officers can get out and just go to and talk to the people, not with a criminal act that took place where they're a victim or a suspect of one, but they're just going up and approaching them and talking to them so that both can get to know each other. Mm-hmm. And we found that, 98% of the population officers don't deal with very often, and this gives them a chance to talk to them and let them know that we're out there and we want to hear their input and try to help them with the problem. So yeah, absolutely, that's a big deal. And more of trying to get the officers to walk around in those areas or ride the bikes in those areas and just get them out and talking to the community so we can build a better relationship.
Now, honestly, I've never been approached by an officer on something like this, so you know what I'm saying. They probably ain't getting out everywhere because I really haven't seen anything like that happen or anything like that. Really, what this is for, and we talked about this, is to gain a better understanding, because really there is. I feel like as the public, and I'm speaking for other people that I've talked to, it's a thing of trust, and the public it's hard for the police to, for the public to trust the police because of things that have happened in the past. But maybe we can come together and resolve some of those issues and move on. You can't fix what happened before, but you can always start somewhere and let this be, okay, this is where we start, and we keep on, because there's been a lot of incidents where things have happened and the public is all aroused up, and you can agree, you don't have to agree on camera, but there are things have been where the public has been aroused up over a certain issue, and we all come together, and then that month or so, we're not together anymore. Is there anything in place, any plans that the police department can be more diligent or aggressive of getting out there? Because I'm receptive to that type of thing. Travis is too, and I'm sure a lot of people that watch our show are receptive to having a better relationship, because we want to understand you as much as you would like to understand us. And I'm sorry, you have something you want to say?
Well, along that lines, I wanted to say that it's very important anytime someone is upset with either what they perceive as an officer not conducting himself properly or herself in the course of their duties, or if someone's called for police service and they don't believe that they've received as much service as they should have. We encourage anyone who feels like that to please call us. If it's something that rises to the level of a complaint of possible police misconduct, we have a citizen complaint process that it starts out with asking the person to file a formal complaint against the officer or the officers involved. We will investigate that very thoroughly. Now, a lot of times what we find is that the officers did not behave improperly, but that actually the citizen just doesn't understand. Maybe like in the case if they say, well, the officer didn't arrest this person even though I called them. There may have been restrictions within the Constitution or within the laws of Ohio that would keep us from being able to arrest the person. Or if maybe the officer, somebody says, hey, I saw this officer using force against this person and it looks like it was excessive. It may be that the officer did in fact use force, but it was proper force based on maybe information that the person who complained didn't know. In which case we still want them to call us so that we can look into it, find out what it is, and we will get back with that citizen and let them know things from our perspective. So again, we have that open communication, that dialogue, which allows us to be able to hopefully come to a point of better understanding. In other cases, we will find out that perhaps the officer did behave improperly, in which case then we do have processes set up in place through our disciplinary procedures that we will follow and take corrective action. Again, depending on what the misconduct is would depend on how serious the level of discipline is. But we do take steps then or corrective action to try to make sure that those behaviors do not occur again.
Now, something that was brought to my attention in an earlier interview about we live in a world now where everything is videotaped. We're being videotaped right now, and we can send this anywhere in the world, literally. Is there is a citizen allowed to record without obstructing justice something that is going on? It might not be a policeman harassing a citizen. It might be a citizen harassing a policeman. Is a citizen allowed, as long as they're not obstructing justice, to record an event like that going on?
Yes, absolutely.